I call to order this meeting of the Warren County School Board for Wednesday, August the 3rd. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item on the agenda is to accept or modify the agenda. Is there a motion?
Madam Chairman, I move that we accept the agenda as distributed.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Community participation. Is there anyone who would like to address the board? We have a full house. Nobody wants to come and speak. Consent agenda. Is there a motion for the consent agenda?
Madam Chairman, I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All those in favor, aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Reports. Child Nutrition Department update. Mrs. Fox.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me here this evening. And I would like to just say thank you so much for your partnership with Sodexo. And we really appreciate Warren County. It's really a fantastic school district to work with. And to me, it just is home. But to everybody else who comes here, they know how special it is too. We had a really great year. And I'm just going to summarize a little bit. And if anybody has any questions, please stop me. This year we had an excess of $299,108,000. Our guarantee was $175,000, so we had an excess of $124,108,000. We didn't quite make that $300,000 mark, but maybe this year. But it was a good year, and we had a lot of great opportunities to do things within the schools. We had a Future Chefs contest, which we had some really wonderful judges. Our superintendent, Mr. Drescher, and Deb and Devin Smith joined us, and they were judges for the program. And McKenna Atkins actually won the program and went on to the regional program. So we got some recognition for Warren County all the way across the United States. She did very, very well. Unfortunately, she didn't win the final contest, but really, what an honor to go that far. She made a granola.
Here's what she made.
Yes, there's a little picture, and the recipe, if anybody's interested, is actually really good. It tasted really good. And then we also did a Healthy High School Challenge for the two high schools, and both Warren County and Skyline High School won this year. They won $1,000 each, and that is used for the government, for the student government to use in any way they want. I believe Warren County used it with the movie theater night that they did, and they may have had additional money left over to do some other things, but they've used it each year for different things or saved it for a bigger project. We had 176 serving days, so we were short 4 days, so we may have had a little bit larger return, but I think this year, with the way the schedule is built, we should look forward to 180 serving days. We had 376 breakfast meals, which was an increase of 9,644 meals over last year. And every year we've served more than the year before. So that's a rather large increase since we already had very high participation. We serve about 40% of our students breakfast, which nationally is a very high average. And lunch, we served 558,648, which was an additional 15,950 meals over last year. We, at the end of the year, we're at about 42% in the free and reduced. And the position that we added, Katie Humenick, who was a part-time person, and we were able to create a full-time position for her. She's done a wonderful job in really working with the community and trying to help families to to either apply or to do different things to be able to have the kids come in and have meals. So that's also part of why we were able to serve more meals, really working with families to get the kids in and understand that breakfast is also available to students if they qualified for lunch. And I think there was some confusion in the past if breakfast was part of that, and really getting the word out. We have some brochures that we've put at all of the schools that explains how you qualify for free and reduced meals, what we can do to help you. It's online. We put iPads in the schools that have higher free and reduced, and by the end of the year we hope to have them in all 8 schools. That is really helpful for the office staff. So if someone comes in and asks if they can apply, they don't have to find a computer for them. They can just hand them this iPad. And that's something that Sodexo provided through the contract. So we'll get the rest of those out this year. And then we have provided about $60,000 in our capital improvement is going back into the schools this year in new equipment, small wares, and different things. We're going to actually speak about those in a little bit, but some of them were replacement and some of them are just new technology and ways that we can provide food that's prepared in a more healthy way, steamers, kettles, things like that. And last, we have one new marketing program this year. It's called the Clubhouse, and it was highly tested. It was designed by children, by students, for students, and it's for the K through 5 school level, and it looks like a clubhouse. It's a lot of fun, and we'll be implementing that this year in all the elementary schools.
What, is that a place for them to eat, or?
It's actually just the decor, but it also brings in new recipes, and every time they have a new program, they kind of update all of the recipes and the type of food and the menus and bring new things that are tried in. But for the most part, it's just kind of freshening and updating the decor in the school. There's a big tree. There's it looks like wood paneling that goes on the line, and then nails and rivets, and it's fun. The kids really highly chose it over other programs that were developed. So, good. Does anyone have any questions?
I have one. In the summer program we do at E. Wilson,
Yes.
how is that? Do you have any idea of numbers? I hate to ask that on the spot.
It really was even more successful this year than it's been. Every year we see a little more
Right.
participation from people that are not already in programs, and that's really what we had started initially for. We wanted to help the schools that are in the program so that students got meals that were nutritious and hot and met the criteria of a healthy meal. But we really were hoping to help the community and have people come in who maybe just really it would help to get a meal that they didn't have to pay anything for. We had several families that came every day they had maybe 5, 6, 7 kids. So this was a year that we really did a lot more. I would say we did about 150 average, and in the past we've done about 120, so we had about 30 more people a day. Part of that was the 21st Century Grant from the middle school,
Right.
and we were able to provide them with breakfast, and we also provided them with packed lunches for Fridays. So that was a great partnership too. So those kids who went to the school really were fed several meals a day.
Good.
Thank you for that question, because
thank
it really is, it's a wonderful thing that the school district makes possible, because you all have to vote on that to let us to do that. And we do have to have air conditioning, and the schools are open, so it really is so nice that the schools provide that to the community.
Good.
Thank you. Also want to thank you and Sodexo for supplying the refreshments for this evening's teacher, or recent retiring staff.
I have to-go boxes, if anyone will take some.
Oh, well, of course.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Fox.
Thank you.
Warren County Special Education Advisory Committee Annual Report 2015-16. Mr. Hirsch.
Madam Chairperson, Mr. Superintendent, thank you for this opportunity to speak with you again. It's that time of year for our Special Education Advisory Committee to give their annual report of all the great things they've been doing in partnership with Warren County Public Schools. So with no further ado, it's my honor to introduce the chairperson of this year, last year, and this year's Special Ed Advisory Committee, Lori Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Hirsch. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
It's a pleasure to be here. I thank you for this opportunity to present our annual report. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to look over our report, and I'm here this evening to mention some highlights from this past school year and to answer any questions that you may have. You're welcome to ask as I go through, or I'll try and give you some time at the end as well. Every spring, our SEAC compiles an annual report, and this word cloud, I put it together this morning, just copying the entire text of the report, and it's kind of interesting, the words that showed up. It just goes to show the wide range of topics that we have to consider and the actions that we undertake to help our school division provide an excellent education for students in Warren County Public Schools. And you might see some names in there. Anybody whose name is in there was mentioned in our report at least twice. So it's kind of interesting. For the benefit of the two board members whose terms began since we presented our report last year, I'll briefly introduce myself and explain what SEAC is. And I'm the mom of 4 children who have grown up in Warren County. My second oldest son has received special education services since the age of 4 and is entering his senior year this year, and it's been a great experience. I started attending SEAC meetings in 2006, and I've been part of the executive committee since 2007, and I'm about to begin my 3rd year as chairperson. And it has been a wonderful opportunity to learn many things about special education, children interacting, communicating. It's really been a wonderful growth opportunity, not just for myself, for the entire committee and for many other persons on the committee. So I'm very grateful for that opportunity. Now to explain SEAC, the acronym SEAC stands for Special Education Advisory Committee. Our committee serves to advise our school division of the needs of students with disabilities. Local SEACs are found in each school division as mandated by state law, and at the state level, SEAC exists as mandated by federal law. Our membership is comprised mostly of parents of students with disabilities, but we also have 1 voting teacher member and representatives from organizations in the community that serve people with disabilities. And over the years, we've had a few interested community members. And we also have other school division personnel who serve as consultants. What did we work on this past year? Our work centered on 3 goals: building knowledge of special education programs and regulations, community outreach, and membership. Our greatest successes: through the community outreach work that we did, we were able to connect with more parts of the school division and school community than we have in any year since I've been involved. We started the year off by presenting at Special Education Day to special education teachers, and I had the opportunity to speak with a few of them afterwards and got some good input. Mr. Drescher addressed us at our first planning meeting this past year. That was very wonderful to have his presence and input. We have special education administrators who gave presentations at our meetings, and parents, of course, involved in the committee and who visit our meetings. And we had a couple of students visit our meetings this past year as well. I've also been in communication with a couple of the school board members about various topics that have come up and sharing information, and that's a wonderful thing, and I thank you for that. Another success was connecting with the community through the use of technology. We further developed our newsletter and developed a very extensive mailing list through a notification page that was sent home with one of the student books at the beginning of the year. We managed to work through a learning curve with getting that set up, and we're about to put that in place this next year too. And that provided us with a contact list as well as served as a list for automated phone calls that were made through the school system's phone system each month, notifying them of our meetings. We also recreated our Facebook page and set up a website. Our biggest challenges, staying organized. We have a lot of information that comes in, and just figuring out how to sustain that information once it comes in. We get so much good information, and we're able to share some of it in our meeting minutes, through newsletters, but we cover a lot of information. And then keeping members involved. We started this past year off with 16 members, and it's just a fact of life. A lot of us are parents. We have children with special needs, and it's hard for everybody to stay involved. This year, we're starting with a smaller group, and I'm trying to learn to delegate more things as well. That's another challenge. Community outreach. We have a challenge in just trying to grow our membership, and I remember talking to you all about this in past years as well, and we have a lot of means to reach people, and it's just a matter of continuing to make the most efficient use of those means of doing that. What are we going to work on this next year? There are two things I'm really excited about. One, we are in the process of developing a teacher award. And after our first planning meeting, we're excited to know that we're going to be collaborating with the school division on some initiatives coming up this year for transition and the delivery of instruction for students with extensive needs. So we're very excited to be an active part of that process as it develops. We'll be continuing to build knowledge of special education programs and regulations, and we'll be looking to recruit new members. And we're also going to, for the first time, list our membership and start looking at the diversity of our membership. How many are parents of students at the elementary level, high school, middle school? What geographic area are members within the county? And then also the disability categories of the students whose parents are involved. At this time, I'd like to introduce two other SEAC members who are here with me this evening. Katie Carr. This is her second year being involved in SEAC, and also Sandy Kristen, it's also her second year. And we're proud to travel with our community on Warren County's Public Schools Trek to Excellence. And at this time, I want to see if you all had any questions.
I do not.
I'm good.
Any
No,
comments?
that's a very thorough report.
Thank you.
You're in a very self-satisfying position, too, I'm sure. What y'all work with.
You guys do great work. Did I understand correctly, and this is more of a infrastructure kind of thing, that you're able to pinpoint the parents into a phone group or something like that? Is that correct?
It's a notifications form that parents fill in, and on it they indicate, we ask if you're a parent of a child with a disability, would you like to be informed of SEAC meetings? And they can indicate whether they want to be informed by email or by phone call. It was our intention that they select one or the other. Last year, I think we had everything checked on, so it was a bit of work.
That notification goes out in student code of conduct form.
Thank you.
Of the year, and all parents can opt in to receive the phone messages, the email, or whatnot.
Okay.
And they are created.
I guess what I was getting at is we're able to actually tailor a notification to a specific group if we know the membership of that group.
Goes home monthly.
Yeah.
After we do the all-call in September, right before our September meeting, we'll do an all-call to all 5,300. Then it'll go monthly to those people that submit the information back.
Okay, that's great. That's good way so that you're not hitting everybody, but you are hitting the people that you want to hit.
Another great use of our phone calling program.
Yeah.
Mrs. Bauer, I just could say, SEAC's is just a wonderful partner. I know Mr. Hirsch sings you guys praises all the time. He's constantly coming in. I mean, I would say it's at least once a month they'll come in and, SEAC's doing this. What do you think of this? And so just really appreciate the work you do with us. Thank you.
We enjoy working with you all. Thank you very much. Oh, I wanted to mention one other thing. Your packet includes our updated brochure. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very colorful, very nice. Thank you, Mrs. Adams. Instruction report, Mr. Fox and Ms. Rudisil. I don't know who's going first. Are you taking both? Okay. Ladies first.
Good evening. We're going to begin the instruction report this evening just with some information for you all. We received a report from the state with our preliminary accreditation ratings for each of the schools. And the good news is that all 8 of our schools are accredited, 6 being fully accredited and 2 being partially accredited by the state. Overall, we saw good increases in our school scores in most areas. And as we all know, SOL scores are only one piece of data that make up a much larger picture of success. So Mr. Fox is going to follow me up with some of the official data that we have demonstrating the successes in the school division.
Good evening, everyone. Before we get started, I know that Mrs. Rudisil and I will be very excited when the students return back to school so they can come and start doing some of the instruction report for us as we report on all the wonderful things that are going on in Warren County. A second thing, I've had the privilege this week of working with the teachers that are new to Warren County. And based on what I've seen so far, although I'm going to give you some very promising numbers, I would say that the people that Mr. Smith and Mr. Johnston and Mr. Hirsch have hired, and of course all the other principals, have done a wonderful job, and that we have more wonderful things in store for us.
Put your glasses on. You're getting older, aren't you?
His curiosity has overcome his
Some of us have to leave them on all the time.
We got a cane back here, too.
Appreciate that. So to begin, in 2008 at Skyline High School, we had 77 students take different AP tests, and we had a 26% pass rate. Fast forward to 2014-15, we had 203 AP tests with a 50% pass rate, and we'll move forward to just this past year, 245 AP tests. Now the pass rate did go down, but of course you'll note that we are more students are accessing this advanced placement, and this is one of the goals of the school system, to make it more accessible for more students, any students, economically disadvantaged students or students with disabilities. Warren County High School in 2008, 70 advanced placement tests with a 47% pass rate. Fast forward to 14-15, 204 advanced placement tests with a 51% pass rate. And just this past year, 231 tests with a continued 51% pass rate. So not only are we making this more available to more students, but they are maintaining a high rate of achievement, and that rate of achievement is growing as we speak.
When you say a pass rate, is that a 3 or greater?
A 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
Yes. So we know that we talk a lot about SOLs and standardized data, but there are many other things that the school system looks at. So some things to talk about. One of the goals that actually Mr. Drescher set this in motion was to have all of our 10th grade students take the PSAT. And the idea behind that was to let students that wouldn't normally think that college was an option for them, to let them have the evidence that, you know what, young man or young lady, you did very well. College is an option, or certainly some type of continued education is an option. So just this past year, Warren County Public Schools, this is Warren County High School and Skyline, 355 10th grade students took the PSAT, which represents 79% of our students. In there are 2 categories. In evidence-based reading and writing, we are closing in on both the Virginia and the national average. The mean score for reading and writing was 458. In Virginia, the average is 477, and nationally it's 480. So you can see that we've made some progress. The overall mean score, which combines both evidence-based reading and writing and math, for Skyline High School was 878, for Warren County High School was 896, and for the state was 936. We have our work cut out for us in math, and we know that this is something that we have to continue to focus on. But we have spent 3 years now as a focus, and we've started to see the benefits, and that's when we'll be very excited next month when we're able to talk about the accreditation status of a number of our schools, and it'll be official. Wanted to talk about SAT scores, and unfortunately they don't come in until September. So we wanted to talk about the increase from 14-15 to 15-16. In reading, our scores, and this is Warren County Public Schools, and improved from 488 to 498, so a 10-point increase. And in math, also an increase from 478 to 488. Slightly below the state average and slightly below the national average, but we are making progress. And if we can continue to make progress, we will catch up, and very soon we would hope surpass. Then something that perhaps we don't talk about enough, our career and technical program. So in 2014-15, we awarded 554 credentials. So, and you would receive a credential for a class, say maybe your ASE certification in auto mechanics, or each one of these has a different credentialing program, and certainly Mrs. Shepard understands this better than me. But some examples: electricity, carpentry, nursing, computer programming. So we went from 554 in 14-15. This past year we had an increase to 675 in the credentials. In part, one of the most popular programs was our Project Lead the Way biomedical program. And I'm not sure how many of you were able to attend the white coat ceremony. Those children were as excited as if it was the day of their graduation when they received their white coats. And our two faculty, Miss Racy, I apologize, I can't think, Miss Anderson, they have done a wonderful job preparing these students. So we had 17 students that had a top score of 9. That places them in the top 5%. So that's very impressive. So again, that was part of the increase in the credentials. A second increase for career and technical CTE completers. And a completer is someone who has completed a CTE sequence. For example, Carpentry 1 and then Carpentry 2. Our completers increased from 14-15 from 138 students to 163 students. So you can see that students are beginning to take notice and taking advantage of those programs that are offered at Blue Ridge Technical Center. So that is just some of the highlights of what's going on in our secondary schools. If you have questions, I'll certainly do my best to answer them.
No questions? No comments?
Pretty impressive.
Yeah.
The increases.
Right direction.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Fox. Superintendent report.
Good evening. I just have a few things to mention. As Mr. Fox just mentioned, this week new teachers arrived. It's been a busy week doing many, many things. I know Mrs. Rudisil and the rest of Mr. Fox and the rest of the IRT is busy working with them. I think we have about 55 teachers, something like that, right in there. It's a big group, and like Mr. Fox mentioned, it seemed like just a really good, solid group of folks. So it's nice to see that. I've been up there 3 times with them, just meeting and greeting and talking with a few of them today. So it was good.
And how many do we have that were former students here?
Was it 7 or 8? It was 7 or 8 folks graduated from Skyline or Warren County.
Did they come back home?
Yeah, that was very nice. That was a good question. Yeah. Next week on Monday, all teachers return. So, yay, we're off and running. And opening session for all staff is August 9th at 8:30 in the morning at Skyline, just to remind you that you're invited to that. And then the following week, August 15th, the real fun begins. Here come the kids. Would like to remind everyone in our community to be on the lookout for our young people as they wait on buses and walk to school. It's always getting used to those things. I also want to remind our families and students that utilize our bus transportation that there's always numerous little bugs to work out all the time. I see Mr. Mitchell in the back smiling. And it's always a very, very busy time, and lots of things go on. Phone calls are responded to as quickly as possible, but your patience and understanding is greatly appreciated. We just spent a few minutes before the meeting this evening celebrating last year's retirees. I just want to say a word about the retirees. I thank them for their many years of service to the students and families of Warren County. We couldn't do it without all of our good folks. We got an award. How about that? Warren County Public Schools was a recipient of another $25,000 for the participation in Positive Behavior Intervention Supports, PBIS, and VTSS, and those funds are used to support schools as they set up positive behavior for their students. The grant was originally written and headed up by our very own Mr. Hirsch, and Jerry Cave is kind of our lead in setting up the meetings and organizing the system. And the state is having additional schools join each year, and we're having additional schools join this year. At present, I think I've got them all right. Skyline, Warren County High School, Ressie Jeffries, LFK, E. Wilson, and Warren County Middle School are all currently in the program, and I think our goal is for all schools to be involved. And the non-traditional programs. Sorry about that. Also, the award I'm speaking of, in July, Warren County received the Trailblazer Award from VDOE, and Mr. Cave was present in Richmond to receive the award on behalf of Warren County Public Schools, and we got a nice plaque. So how about that? We're going to hang that up. Yay! So, and at this time, Mrs. Shepard is going to speak with us a few minutes about some building updates.
Okay, I'm going to try something new. Can you hear me?
Yes.
The new middle school project is over 40% complete. The masons are working on the second floor block. The trusses for the student common area are in place. You should have seen a picture of that last week. And curb and gutter work has started at the new middle school. Regarding the Ressie Jeffries Elementary School project, the Board of Supervisors discussed the parking, front entrance, and roof at yesterday's work session. The only company to submit a bid for both projects was Lance of Winchester. The parking lot project was designed by Pannoni, and it will add 74 parking spaces to Ressie Jeffries. The project also includes burying overhead cable near the cafeteria, adding a sidewalk from Kreiser Road to the elementary school, resurfacing the existing lot, site lighting, and adding curb and gutter along Kreiser Road at the recommendation from the town. The cost for this project came in a little under $770,000. The front entrance and roof project designed by Mosley Architects came in a little under $4.5 million, which was over the budgeted amount. We worked with Mosley and Lance to value engineer the project and have been able to recommend a project for the cost of a little under $3.71 million. The value engineering looked at replacing the metal seam roof with membrane roof in all but 2 areas of the building. Those 2 areas are located at the front of the building and will have metal seamed roof. The Joint Building Committee met on July 20th and has agreed to the value engineering and has recommended the Board of Supervisors consider awarding both contracts to Lance of Winchester. The Board of Supervisors plan to take action at on the parking, roof, and front entrance project at their next meeting on August the 16th. Ressie Jeffries Gym has air conditioning. 1 unit is fully functional, and the second unit will be fully functional on Friday. So when teachers come on Monday, there should be a cool gym. Also, in anticipation of the upcoming construction, we have removed 4 trees at Ressie Jeffries, 1 in the front and 3 down in the lower parking area, in anticipation for construction to start as soon as we can after August the 16th.
Good, good, great.
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. School board reports. Mr. Williams?
Yes, ma'am. Glad to see schools coming back already. That way, the kids are excited. The ones I've seen are truly excited. Mr. Fox talking about the increase. This past weekend, we had to go to Richmond, but on the way back, we stopped at UVA. My wife graduated from there. Now, we got a first grader, well, soon to be first grader, and a third grader. The little one goes, I'd really like to go here. And I'm like, okay. He goes, but it's probably really expensive. I said, don't worry about the cost, Patrick. You get the grades, you get accepted, somehow you'll go here. So we're sitting at the table the next night, and he goes, well, what do I have to do? He goes, because I really want to go back to school, but I don't want to do homework. I said, well, buddy, if you don't do your homework, guess where you won't get to go? He goes, I'll do my homework. So good, bad, or indifferent, that may have made an impression on a young child at 6 years old, that lofty goal, but maybe just seeing it and being able to stand in the middle of that field and go, look at me, that who knows, he may go. So it's good to see dreams like that, but it's also great to see how we are improving as a school system. And Ms. Dean, he cried you were leaving. He's like, she can't leave, can I go? I was like, I know. I had to laugh, it was funny. But glad to see Ressie has air conditioning. I know the contractor was up early every morning there, because I'd seen him at 5:30 and he was sweating bullets to make sure it was all right. So it's really good to see people are that concerned about making it work for all of us. And that's all I have.
Great, thank you. Mr. Rosen?
Yeah, well, with school returning, I didn't get excited, but I'm sure the kids are very excited. I think it was a different era for me to do that. But wish all of y'all good luck for this new school year, and I'm sure you'll do a great job with all the things that we see happening. We've seen over the past year and a half that I've been on board, I think, a whole lot of things. My 2 grandkids that live in Berryville are excited about going back to school. That's all I could hear from them. 3 boys in Richmond, I'm not too sure. That football's kind of got them going right now. But good luck to everyone, and we appreciate y'all's help and rising above just the standards and providing education for the children of Warren County. It's doing well, and it's because of people. It's because of you all and everyone in the school system.
Thank you. Mrs. McKeithen?
Well, speaking of Ressie, I had the opportunity to speak with the sheriff today. And
just today?
Just today.
Just today?
Bumped into each
Passed him
other.
in the hall, yeah.
I passed him in the hall.
That's right. You talk to him on Wednesdays only.
Just Wednesdays, that's all I get. The grant for the SRO has been approved to let you guys know, so that's awesome. More good news for Ressie.
Great. Thank you. Mr. Wells?
Just another year. It seems like summer wasn't very long, but I think the students are as excited to get back as they could possibly be. I think more and more as we have more opportunities and as they see the opportunities and that kind of thing, they thrive on going to school. Like Mr. Rosen says, there was a time when we didn't want to go back at the end of the summer, but most of the students I've talked to are just chomping at the bit, whether they're secondary students who are wanting to graduate or whether they're younger students that want to get back and get to meet their friends again and all that kind of thing. With regard to the Ressie project, as we always do, and we appreciate the partnership with the Board of Supervisors and walking us through this and being willing to see it through, because it's really needed. We know it's needed. They know it's needed, and we're doing it for the students like we try to do everything else. And we appreciate their partnership, and that's it.
Thank you. Not much to report. I did attend the Monday morning reception for the new teachers, and I enjoyed that, enjoyed talking to some of the new teachers. And I hear everyone talking about the students being ready to go back to school, but I think a lot of the parents are ready too. The parents that I've been talking to, they're ready to get back into a routine and have a little bit of a semblance in their lives. So that's it. Action agenda. 2016-17 Crisis Management and Emergency Response Plan. Mr. Hirsch.
Madam Chairman, Mr. Superintendent, thank you for allowing me to speak today. We come every year around this time to get our crisis plan approved. We don't put all of it on the website or available to public because the sheriff asked us not to, because there's some secret stuff in there, just that talks about how we respond to crises in certain crises. A crisis can impact any one of our buildings at any time and impact the entire school division. The most important consideration in dealing with a crisis is the health, safety, and welfare of our students and staff. This plan intends and does provide staff with guidelines and pre-planned responses to various emergencies and situations. And then also included in there, there's current rosters of who is certified in CPR, first aid, asthma, diabetes, seizures, and all those kinds of things, and current phone trees that the administrators and staff can use when contacting each other. So part one of the plan, the school division's procedures, responsibilities. It has in the plan outlined, as I think is in your packets, the responsibilities of each one of the administrators, the responsibilities of the superintendent, my responsibilities, the finance director's responsibilities, and so on with regards to a crisis. So it gives us an outline, and that's based on the Department of Education training and model. It also talks about all the currently trained staff in first aid and CPR. And then there's guidelines for various emergency situations, such as lockdowns, bomb threats, fire, death, God forbid suicide, and whatnot. There's also a medical emergency response plan, includes sample procedures for various medical emergencies, to include diabetes, seizures, bee stings, and so on. Talks about concussions, talks about the use of EpiPens, it talks about allergies, food allergies, and all those kinds of things. And it gives the staff an opportunity to see sample things of how to respond. And all these things that we're talking about today are based on the Virginia Department of Ed training model. Then there's a school-based plan in the crisis plan for each school. Each school does their own plan, and this includes contact lists, building blueprints of where the propane is and where the gas lines are and all those kinds of things, as well as evacuation procedures for non-ambulatory students and other pertinent information. One thing that we do very, very well is we collaborate with county services, such as EMS, law enforcement, fire and rescue on an ongoing matter. We meet quarterly with the LEPC, which is the Local Emergency Planning Committee. And at those meetings, we do a variety of things, working with the Norfolk Southern Railroad, working with all the hospital, very much so the hospital, with decontamination and different kinds for county emergencies. We work very closely with them, and we meet with them on a regular basis. That is crucial in developing a crisis plan. We're getting ready in January to turn Skyline into an opportunity to do mass medication dispensation. So if there was something to happen in Washington and we had to do something to provide mass medication for all of our citizens, the 37,000 citizens, the plans are we're formulating a plan with the Shepherd and I to use Skyline this year, and then when the new middle school is built, because they're both set up for shelters, to use those buildings as mass dispensation sites. So we're figuring out now the training that we need to go through and the staff that's going to be tasked with the county staff to do that. And we're also looking at a variety of other programs. One program right now that we're getting ready to look at on August 11th is the Crisis Tracker program. And that program looks at a lot of things. It talks about when roads are closed during an emergency. We were reflecting on the 30-inch snowstorm that we had last year, and part of this is driven by cost recovery. So what we're trying to do is figure out how we can get our costs recovered, and that's all part of the tracking system, but it also helps with letting us know which roads are closed and which roads are not closed. So there's some of the things we're working on this year. And what I do have, I put in your little folder, one thing we decided to do mid-last year is create a document for parents with regards to safety and with regards to healthy habits. And we kind of framed it as an FAQ, question and answers for parents. I tried to anticipate every question that a parent would have. And the staff vetted it, and we looked at it, and we answered the questions, and we put it online. So it's been online for a few months. We've had nothing but good feedback, and I wanted to share it with you and just let you know that these documents are online, so parents can say, hey, what is vision screening? What is scoliosis screening? What is your concussion protocol? Why is there resource officers in the building? And things like that. And parents can go to these and they get all their questions answered. So that was kind of nice. And then I have one more thing. Each year, we do put the crisis manual on jump drives, because I know Mr. Wells likes that. What we'll do, Mr. Wells, this is for you, and this is current. We're going to update it, because we'll have some new staff and new ambulatory student plans done like in the next couple weeks, and I will get another jump drive and we'll switch it out. So I wanted to give that to you. If you like it.
Hold up your notebook there.
I heard you wear that around your neck.
Yep.
Yeah.
I do. You can see what the crisis plan looks like. I dare say that any of the administrators out there have a copy of that.
Yes.
I doubt very seriously if they have it in their car. I doubt very seriously if they have it at home. If something were to go wrong, we were at a Valley Health meeting with our safety director about a week or so ago, and he was going through, he said, you guys are never going to have this book when you need it. And he pointed, and I had a jump drive around my neck, and he said, that's what we want to get to. And I said, well, the school system's had that for several years. And he just he's from Chicago and Chicago Mercy Hospital, and he said, well, we just got that right before I left. He said, you guys really have it on? And I said, yeah, and the administrators can take it with them wherever they happen to be and plug it in and pull all this information up. And so Mr. Hirsch is way ahead of the curve.
Thank you. Do you have any questions? I can try to answer them.
I can tell a lot of work has gone into setting all this up, and it looks nice. Thank you for your hard work, and I think it's great that everybody be trained in a crisis situation. I hope we never have to utilize it.
Thank you.
Motion?
Yes. Is there a motion?
Yeah. I move that the Crisis Management and Emergency Response Plan be approved.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Part-time teacher rate for vacant teaching position. Mr. Smith.
Good evening. In your packet, you should have an agenda item with some information regarding a proposal of a part-time teacher rate for vacant teacher positions. Now, as you know, that as we continue to look for hiring year after year, it's obvious to anyone in this type of business that we're going to have to be very creative on ways that we recruit and things that we can do to be successful to hire the most competent people. We've had some of our teachers over the past years perhaps teach an extra block of a class, those type of things, whether it be math or technology. We've also worked with splitting positions between schools. Perhaps a teacher may be at one of the high schools one semester, maybe at Skyline High School one semester in Warren, and so forth. And then recently we were able to be, with a partnership with Page County, we were able to hire a welding instructor. And that welding instructor is actually between Page and ourselves, with us being the hiring agent. And that new teacher is here with a new teacher week. So for first semester, they'll be here, and then second semester, they'll be in Page. So there comes times where we get into positions that are very difficult to fill. So I'll read down through the sheet. I'll add a few more things to it at the end and then see what questions that you may have. Several years ago, the board approved a part-time teacher rate of $25 per hour. And this was helpful in providing a standard to use for those situations such as summer school, remediation, homebound teaching, etc. However, there become circumstances of hard-to-fill vacant, and that's a key thing there, vacant position that requires a certified teacher to provide instruction while being qualified to serve as the teacher of record that we have to report. for a credit course that would be found in our program, our approved program of studies. In this circumstances where a qualified, certified, and acceptable teacher cannot be found for a vacant position, we are requesting to employ a part-time certified teacher to serve and be paid by the block. And this mainly is for obviously for the secondary level. At the elementary level, it could be applied in some different ways, but there's an abundance of elementary qualified candidates out there, and obviously everyone's gobbling them up. But where we really run into the harder to fill type positions are mainly at the secondary levels. So this person would be part-time. They would not exceed 2 blocks per semester, and they would not exceed during that week a 28-hour work week. The rate would be on the teacher scale based on the teacher's years of experience, and each block would represent 12.5% of that total salary. And the reason you get the 12.5% is that there are 8 blocks within a year. So if they were to teach one of those, each of those blocks represents 12.5% of 8. A daily rate would be set and a timesheet would be kept. And I put in an example of how that would work with a base salary and the percentage and those type of things. The recommendation does not take the place of the $25 or the part-time hourly rate. It just provides us additional opportunity and flexibility to recruit and place the highest quality teachers in the classroom for vacant positions. Now, it's important to note that the position itself would still remain vacant during this time. We would be recruiting to find someone to fill that position. And one of our objectives would be we would have someone in the classroom with the students for that semester, and there would not be an interruption with bringing in several different part-time people or substitutes and those type of things through that time. Because there comes a point where we have to have a teacher of record, someone that's certified for that. Now, we do have this current situation at Warren County High School. We were able to fill all our positions, instructional positions, around the second week of July. And that's super. I mean, that's awesome. We're real proud of that. However, we did have one of the positions, a math position, that was a little hiccup that someone called back in and said, no, I'm not going to take that job. I just found one. And they live out of state. And that's, in this business, that's just, you just have to go with it, okay? So that leaves a vacant math position at Warren County High School. One of the hardest positions to fill instructionally would be any of those sciences and maths. So in order to find the most qualified person to go in, and rather not just put anyone that we could possibly find in there and make it a bad experience for the students, not only would it affect the outcome of their learning, it also could affect us in many different ways, as well as we want to have the most high quality person in there. That we would like to have someone to teach, certified to teach just a couple of those blocks to get us through so we can recruit someone for that second semester to fill that position. And we've already have some leads on some December graduates.
For math?
For math.
Okay. So are we down a math teacher right now, or?
Yeah, we're down a math teacher as far as a person to fill that slot, yes. Okay. But I do have someone who, under this circumstance, or even under the $25 an hour circumstance, I have someone who can teach those 2 blocks who would be certified. This just gives us a little bit more flexibility and some type of tool to reach out to possibly some of the teachers who may have more experience and would be more enticed to take those couple blocks if we had something set up similar to this where they could have that entire block.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Smith?
You've got it down here, cost and finance improved 2016-17. In your example, have you done that? Will you hit budget? I mean, you got enough to keep it there, or you're going to have to run over?
Well, what will end up happening is you have a certain amount of money that's dedicated to that position from the 2016-17 budget. You would be working out of that amount of money. So if we were to go back and to hire a December graduate, we should come out ahead at the end from a financial standpoint, because on the part-time, you're only paying that block rate or the hourly rate, but you're not paying benefits. That's why you're working at the 28 hours a week and so forth. So you're working out of the funds that are already there. So obviously your goal down the road is to find the highest quality person that you can, but yet stay within the budget that position's budget at the end of the year.
Okay.
I guess I have more of a statement than a question. Mr. Smith, I agree with you as you need continuity in that classroom. You know, forget the paperwork side of it. You got to have somebody of record. But those students deserve the best they can have. If it costs us a little more in the long run, did it really? I mean, I don't know how we measure that. It's not quantifiable, you know, because we can't say, I mean, we can listen to Mr. Fox and everybody here talks about our math scores, but they're going up. Yep. So I say, in my opinion, is we need to do what we have to do to get that qualified person. And if you're a couple $1,000s one way or the other, is it going to matter in the big scheme of things? You know, so I'm in agreement of yes. If that would help you, help our students, then I think it's the right thing to do. It's the cost of doing business.
Put that in the form of a motion.
Yes, would you like to do that?
Yes, I would
Go ahead
like
and
to
offer the motion.
I move that the Warren County School Board approves the part-time teacher rate for vacant positions as presented.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Smith. Expenditures over $15,000, school nutrition services. Mrs. Shepherd.
Thank you. With a return of close to $300,000, the school nutrition department has some money that they need to spend. Federal guidelines allow us to have 3 months of operating expenses in our food service account. Sodexo's success has given us the ability to keep our kitchens up to date with equipment. With that being said, the School Nutrition Services Department would like to request approval to purchase a tilt kettle and walk-in cooler freezer combo for E. Wilson Marson Elementary School. Currently, E. Wilson Marson does not have a tilt kettle. The school has a walk-in freezer, but does not have a walk-in cooler. This new cooler freezer combo will replace the existing walk-in freezer and will eliminate 2 refrigerators. The purchase will allow school nutrition staff to reconfigure the kitchen to make it more efficient and safe.
Okay, I don't know what a tilt kettle is.
It's a kettle.
This is the expert here.
Reading the information, you know.
It's a kettle that tilts.
But what is it used for? Is it for steaming? Is it for frying? Is it?
It's used for noodles and anything that you would use a pot for.
Okay.
It's self-contained and it heats the outside of it without having to put it on an oven. That keeps people from having to lift heavy pots. So you just add the water to it and then you finish, you can tilt it and get the water out of it. But it's used to make noodles or anything that you would put in a pot.
So it would be used quite a bit.
It would be used quite a bit. We do use steamers for vegetables and things like that, but it has many uses and it'd be very efficient. And since our participation in Wilson has actually gotten even higher than it was in the past, it would really make it more efficient.
Okay. And I was also reading on the freezer and the refrigerant. It's not going to be in the same area because they were talking about remodeling and putting in new refrigerating lines.
It will be in the same area. It will just extend. It actually helps make the whole cafeteria a little more safe because currently there's a refrigerator that's very much needed that extends into the walking space of the doorway there, probably about 12 inches. So the new refrigerator, walk-in refrigerator and freezer will go from the door jamb to the window. And it will be both, and it'll take really almost the exact same amount of space. There just won't be that dead space off to the left if you can picture the freezer as it is currently. And that refrigerator that exists to the right of it will go away. So it will be that whole space. It will come out just a little bit further, about 12 inches, but it won't hamper the space for the cafeteria at all, and it really will only take space that kind of ends up being where things are put.
So there's not a whole lot of remodeling that needs to be done?
No.
One of these papers was talking about some remodeling costs. Did I read that correctly?
They'll put a blank in the window, but other than that, there should be no cost.
Okay. I think it was for running refrigerant lines and...
There will be some, they will need to run a different electrical line.
Okay.
We certainly did incur the cost of that as well.
And how long does typically a refrigerator freezer like this last? How many years can we expect?
I'm in my 16th year, and I think at this point, not necessarily, we haven't had to replace it.
Okay.
They last 20, 30, 40 years.
Oh, good, okay.
They do need work occasionally, but they do last a very, very long time.
Good, thank you.
Some of the remodeling was to put the compressor on the exterior of the building, run refrigerant lines, run drains, and hook up electrical.
Okay.
Will we be able to repurpose the old refrigerator, the standalone that's there now?
We can save it, and it could be used perhaps for parts.
Okay.
It's rather small.
Yeah.
And really part of what's difficult is the way it's configured. It's difficult to get into it, and then some of the space is wasted space. And it certainly could be used for parts, and if we find that we need a small refrigerator somewhere, it could be reused.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion? Or any other discussion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Any more discussion? All right. I move to approve the purchase of the tilt kettle and cooler freezer combo for E. Wilson Morrison Elementary from MTS Equipment in the amount of $36,891.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Mrs. Shepherd. Award contracts for fuel purchases. Mr. Mitchell.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
Everybody said that the students wanted to get back to school, okay? And so I just need you to give me the fuel so we can do that. Pretty much the summation. Unlike Mr. Fox, I forgot my glasses, so just try not to laugh too hard. We purchased two types of fuel. We purchased diesel fuel and gasoline. We currently use two different providers for that. We use Quarles Petroleum, and we also use Mansfield Oil Company. Mansfield is the award winner for the state bid for the state fuel program. And we use them because they give us everything from unlimited access to any pump anywhere in the entire state, so that if we're going to conferences, conventions, whatever, we don't have to worry about, it's covered. We're good. Mm-hmm. It also gives us roadside assistance, which has been a huge help to us. We use about 28,000 gallons a year of gasoline, about 84,000 gallons of diesel. We've reduced that. That's a reduction of about 7,000 gallons a year overall since 2011. We've worked really, really hard to minimize that.
How was that done? Just in routing and?
Honestly, most of that was from putting GPS on units and studying, okay, where are we not being efficient? And okay. I'd say 99% of that was idle time.
Really? Wow. Yes. Well, great. Thanks for working on that. Are there any questions or comments for Mr. Mitchell on this?
No.
No? Okay. Is there a motion? He wants to get the buses on the road here in a couple weeks.
We're waiting on you.
I'll make a motion. I move approval to be granted to continue purchasing the bulk of our diesel fuel from Quarles Petroleum through Loudoun County Public Schools rider and gasoline from Mansfield Oil Company through the state fuel program not to exceed $300,000.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Mitchell.
you, guys.
Mr. Mitchell?
Fill them up.
Just one question. The turnaround and everything at the top of Friesland,
Yes.
when's that going to be?
We're going to take a bus up next week and do some testing. Ms. Shepherd and I discussed it, and we think probably our best approach is we're going to get into the school year and just kind of do a soft entrance. The initial intent is to offer both stops, and then we'll just slowly wean ourselves down to where we're just at that location. But I think that's the best way to get that word out there and give everybody a good 30, 60 days of communication so that there are no issues.
Has it been paved yet?
No.
I was going to say it was gravel last week.
Yes, yeah, not in the pavement. Phase 1 is complete, but there's still retention walls, tree planting, that stuff, and we want to be...
Yeah. Smooth.
Yes, try. Anything else?
No.
Again, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Addition of a second bus driver for preschool, Ms. Rudisil.
It's the perfect follow-up. As you all know, the Virginia Preschool Initiative funds our preschool program for our at-risk 4-year-olds. One of the requirements of this grant is that we provide transportation for the students. The Transportation Department has done that by providing one bus and one driver and using satellite bus stops to accommodate as many children as possible using the available resources. Children living further out in the county have sometimes not been able to get to these stops, which hindered their attendance and at times their enrollment in the program. Using available VPI funds, we're requesting the addition of a second bus driver in order to ensure that all of our preschool students have access to the preschool program. Have any questions?
How many students do we have enrolled in the preschool program?
We have 44 students right now. We are filled to capacity as far as funding and the number of spots that we have. So we have 44 students in our 4 classrooms. We have 1 full VPI classroom at E. Wilson Morrison, and then the other 3 classrooms are combination VPI early childhood special education classrooms. And that's been a fantastic partnership with Mr. Hirsch and Ms. Lee to give us even more spaces than we would otherwise be able to have.
How many students did we have last year?
Last year we had 40 students. We had 40 students. So we added, I don't know if you all remember, but in the fall of last year we added an additional VPI preschool assistant, and we're able to place a few additional students this year into Ressie Jeffries combination program.
Okay. Any questions?
Nope.
No? Okay. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I move that the addition of the second preschool bus driver be approved for the 2016-17 school year.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Rudisil.
Thank you very much.
Discussions by school board. 2016 VSBA Annual Convention, November 16th to the 18th in Williamsburg. I think, has everyone let Mr. Ballantyne know their intent on attending? I think Mr. Wells is going to be our delegate again. And I may want to go to one of the early bird. I was looking at those two, but I'll let you know within the next week or so. So if anyone wants to do one of the early bird sessions, let him know in advance, please. Okay? When will they give us the program as far as the different classes that are going to be offered?
Well, I'm not sure. It's always in enough time that at your work session or one of your meetings prior to going, you can sort of look through it and pick which ones everyone wants to go through to. So I'm guessing it's probably sometime in the latter part of October, but I don't know if there's a set schedule from them on when that comes out.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. No? Okay, we need to go into a closed session. Is there a motion?
Yes. This motion is made that this open public meeting of the Warren County School Board become a closed meeting pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711. The school board desires to discuss the following matter in closed meeting. Section 2.2-3711A2. Discussion or consideration of admission or disciplinary matters or any other matters that would involve the disclosure of information contained in a scholastic record concerning any student in Warren County Public Schools, specifically the request from a family for release from compulsory attendance pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.1-254. Be it resolved that the School Board of Warren County does hereby authorize discussion in closed meeting of the matters identified herein.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Valentine, please call roll.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Rosen?
Yes.
Madam Chairman?
Aye.
Mrs. McEthan?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Motion carries.